Hello, we're going to adjust the clock for striking if it strikes 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 minutes before it's supposed to or after it's supposed to. You'll need just some basic tools that pretty much a long screwdriver. A short one will work, but long is better, and some needle nose pliers. I have a couple other tools back there that are clockmaker tools that are easier, but you can get by without that. Here's a Seth Thomas adamantine clock. Let's see how it's doing. Okay, it struck, the hammer missed the gong, but it struck correctly at the half hour. It has a passing strike. Means that the time side does all the work for the half hour strike. And this one is striking correctly also on the hour. Usually the hands will be a little bit loose. The hammer's not in the right position for the gong, but you can hear it striking. Might be some packing in the back of the clock. So this one's pretty good shape. It seems to be striking like about a minute before the hour. If you can get it that close, I mean that's usually plenty good enough. But there's a not too good a chance that an antique clock will strike like a modern day battery clock. Here's our problem with the gong not ringing. Got some packing in there. Okay, the first thing to do is usually it'll have a back like that. But anyhow, you want to get as much room as you can. So take out the screws in the back. These screws are kind of little, so I'm going to get a smaller screwdriver. What you want to do is get as much room as you can. Now it's sort of possible to adjust these while the movement's even in the clock. We'll take a look at this one and see if that's possible. But generally with clock repairs and fixes, if you try to take shortcuts like that, you end up taking more time trying to avoid taking the movement out. We're going to take the movement out anyhow, but we'll just look back there. Every clock is different, which makes it kind of fun. Okay, this one we really could adjust without taking the movement out, because here's the place that we adjust right here. But we're going to take it out anyway, just so that you can see how to take it out. But right here is the culprit, this little loop. This is a Seth Thomas hip movement, and you can get to it real easy. I'll go ahead and adjust it with the movement in there so you can see. Now this is the what controls the hour strike, not the passing strike. Passing strike is adjusted with this here, if you can see it. Oh, I got, sorry. If you can see this little thing here. Notice when I push on this, the hammer goes up and down. Now, if this spring isn't wound all the way, sort of like this one, it can interfere with the passing strike. So sometimes that won't work correctly when your clock runs down, because these leaves get over here and push up against this. So if you want to adjust the passing strike, all you have to do is gently bend this rod here. And the best way to do it is bend it one way or the other, and if it gets worse, you're going the wrong way, then bend it the other way. Same thing with this one here. Just take your pliers and grab it and gently bend it. What I'm going to do, instead of using pliers, I'm going to use a tool right here that's made for this. And I'll just bend it this way. So in other words, I'm wrecking it. It was striking right, and now it'll probably be wrong. Let's try it and see what happens. Part of the trouble is the clock's not wound up. So we'll wind it up a little bit. Now that should have had no effect on the passing strike. Well, this is actually like a minute ahead now that the gong is working. Let's see what we got here, what we did. Now it's 1 minute after, 2 minutes after, 3 minutes after, 4, 5. Wow. See, I went like way too far. Now we'll go back here. Now the problem with bending these little wires, if you go a lot, I mean just go just a teeny little bit and see what happens. I thought I went a teeny little bit and it just went crazy. Okay, now it's like a minute early. So I went that way, and it's a little bit too early. So now what I do is go back this way a teeny bit. See what we got. about a minute early here. Now, if you end up a minute early here and a minute early here, that's good news. Wow, look at that. I didn't hardly bend that at all. Probably what it is, it's bent so far that it's not quite catching. Let's go back again. Now, it's a little easier using this tool, but a pair of pliers works just about as good. I'm just so used to using that tool that it's better for me. Incidentally, if your clock, this is while we're waiting for that, if your clock strikes the wrong time, like if it just struck 11, it's okay just to take the hour hand and put it where it just struck. See, we're about a minute early, but to me, a minute's pretty good. Let's see what happens this time. This is a trial and error thing. Yeah, see, it's still kind of off. But I guess the thing to really watch here is don't go crazy like I did. Just go just a teeny little bit. What we're going to do now, instead of playing around there, just for the purpose of this video, we'll do it the long hard way, and but it's not really that hard. First thing you do is take the hands off. There'll be a taper pin, and you push it out like I did with my pliers. Pull it out, save your washers. Never put a washer in between this hand and the other hand. All the time the washers go on top. Move that back and forth while you gently pull, and it just comes right off. Not hard at all. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to lay it down to do this, but I'm going to take my long screwdriver. I'm going to go in here and take out 4 screws, 2 up here and 2 down here. Once we do that, the movement will just lift right out of there. So actually saving time by not taking out the movement don't save you a whole lot. In fact, it can get you in more trouble than trying to do it while it's in there. This is where the long screwdriver comes in handy. Just take those 4 screws out, and the movement just comes right out. Every clock is different, but this particular movement comes out real nice and easy. Okay, there's the front of the movement, and here is the back. This movement's kind of dirty, so we're going to have to, when we're done with this, we'll have to take it apart and clean it. That's quite a bit harder than what we're doing here. Here's the front, and here's the back that we were doing, and here's that part right here that we were playing with. The theory of how this works is there's a little arm. This is the one for the passing strike, and there's another arm for the hour strike. And this goes around in the shaft. You'd be really smart at this point to put the minute hand back on. And don't worry about if it's in the right position, just slap it on there. Well, I'll tell you what, let's put it in the right position. Change my mind. That way it'll be easier. Okay, there's the bottom, so that's where it belongs. When I put it at the bottom, the hammer jumped up and down and did the half-hour strike. Because what we're going to do now, oops, I left the washer off. What I usually do is get a big long taper pin when I'm just experimenting, because it sure is easier to stick in and out. So what I'm doing is putting a large taper pin in here. Now when we come up here, what